And we're
Eddie,
live. Hello.
greetings.
How are you?
I'm all right. It
Excellent.
is Wednesday and sunny.
It is Wednesday and sunny.
I like sunny Wednesday.
Sunny Wednesday is good. Um, what was I going to say? Oh, shoot. I do not love it when that happens. Does that happen to you where you have a thought that's right there and then it just decides to
And then it's not.
no longer be
Nobody
no
knows where
longer
it
be
went.
there anymore? Hmm.
It's like, well, and it's
Yeah.
just in the wind,
All
like a
right.
bird.
Well, thanks for that.
That part.
Maybe it'll come back.
Maybe not. Who's gonna know?
Clearly not me. So, Lisa's here. Hi, Lisa. What are you doing here? Don't you have somewhere to be in less than 30 minutes? Like, don't you? Aren't you on
Lisa
an
loves us.
actual panel?
Lisa loves us so much. She messaged like 15 minutes ago, like, where y'all at?
Oh, are we late? I thought we were on time.
She was just super punctual.
Oh, well, all right. Lisa says, yeah, she used to have those thoughts. Well, she has those thoughts that just kind of disappear. She says her family used to say, "Oh, it must have been a lie."
Oh,
The thought you left.
that seems kind
Oh,
of harsh.
but she's hard people, I guess, is what she said. So I get it. I get it. I get it. So, Lisa, how are you? You know we're gonna ask. So, how are you? And while Lisa is telling us how she is, tell us how you are and who are you, my friend?
I am Alicia Holland. I am one half of the lawyer team at Dahlia Law Group, a legacy and estate planning firm based in Oakland, California. And I am all right. Like I said, it is Sunny Wednesday, which I appreciate. I love that we are coming into the holiday season, so I'm in my full diet of holiday movies and music and all the things holiday and holiday events coming up this week that will all be virtual, not going anywhere now. But the fact that I still get to experience holiday things I am excited about. I am pleased about those things, particularly since I just saw a news report that they are about to put us on restriction again because folks haven't been behaving. So,
You're talking about the shelter in
for,
place restrictions.
yeah, for California.
Yeah.
So, LA has already got some, and they are inching closer to doing something like that statewide again.
Yeah, the numbers for our state are pretty scary, and yeah, and this time of year, this season, all of that just makes it worse. And I'm not sure what we know yet about how just about our how our Thanksgiving or feast day sort of get-togethers have impacted the
Yeah.
public health status. So
But I remember seeing a meme right before the holiday week last week where it said something along the lines of with these new requests for people to stay home, if your plans are being dramatically increased here, then you are the problem. We are actually talking to you. And I'm like, yeah, there's a bit of truth to that because I hear like new restrictions and curfew and all those things. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I guess some of y'all are sad about that, but I've been here at home anyways. So I found out that we were under curfew 2 days after it happened because I was like, yeah, I was not
No real
impacted by that
changes.
because I was home
Yeah.
anyways.
No real changes. No real changes here.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
who are you and how are you?
My name is Jill Bates Moore. I am the other half of the lawyer team at Dahlia Law Group in Oakland, California. And how am I? I am. I'm good. I am so. It's really interesting how, to me, how this season, the season of the that we're coming into with the winter holidays, the season of COVID, right, the age of COVID, um, and the season of 2020, because 2020's energy was doing something pre-COVID. I know that probably sounds a little woo woo, but I'm like that, so whatever. And um, and all of the it's just it's not all easy. I don't want to conflate easy, experiencing it as easy, with with it being good. There's lots happening. There is, I don't need to go down that laundry list. I am I'm just right now really sort of plugged into the clearing and to the goodness of it. So I am exceedingly grateful and just really feeling all of that. So that is how I am doing. I thank you for asking. Lisa says that she is nervous about her lecture. Lisa has a lecture in 20 minutes and she is here to support this live stream and her friends on their little endeavor to add some useful information in real time to the internet. Get you some friends who will come to your live stream for a few minutes on their way to their academic lecture. Right.
And show up 15 minutes early, like,
Right.
what's going on?
Yeah, so she says that she's nervous about her lecture and a bit overwhelmed about by work and life right now, which I think so many of us can identify with and just really, and just really empathize with. But she says she has removed a big thing off her plate. So things are looking up for her. So I am glad that things are looking up, friend, and I'm excited about your lecture. We are going to endeavor to respect time, to respect our lunch hour here, so that we can slide into your lecture
Yes.
after this. So
I would like to add for Lisa, one of my sweet friends in law school would always say when we took our final exams, I won't wish you luck because you don't need luck. I will wish you good success. So, good success, friend.
I hope you have fun.
That too.
I mean, it's a lecture. People are going to get whatever they get out of it. And so I hope that you have fun. I know you're prepared.
That
I've seen it. So,
there's slides and all kind of stuff.
really? You did slides? I advocated against doing slides. I was not a fan of the slides idea. Lisa, tell us if you did slides or not. Tell us how the slide vote came out in the end. Anyway, we actually have a topic for for today that
So
is
we
not.
need a call-in radio show
Yeah.
so the other people can hear the people talking back to us in real
Right.
time.
We have a topic for today, and it is not, does Lisa have slides for her lecture in 20 minutes?
Tune in to
Tune
find
in.
out.
Oh, I don't know why that has tickled me so, but it has. It kind of took me down, friends. Sorry. Okay, and so from there, there really is no way to dovetail or to transition into our topic. So I'm just going to change the subject because that's what has to be
Hard
done.
pivot.
Today on the Legacy live stream, we are talking about organ donation. Now, look, before you all get all down into the that's morbid and nobody wants to think about that. First of all, let me remind you that this is the Legacy live stream by Dahlia Law Group, which is the legacy law firm. We do the work of legacy and we use estate planning, probate, and related litigation tools to do that work. And so the work of death and dying, which we view as part of life, is part of the work that we do. So all of that's to say that if you're here and you heard us or you know us, then you are not surprised that there might be a post-death related topic on this live stream. And if that is triggering for you, then please go ahead and disconnect now. And if you have questions about this topic, then just reach out to us separately. How does that work for a community agreement?
I agree.
Yes. Awesome. So, oh wait, we have a response from Lisa.
Oh, breaking news alert.
Right. She says that you're amazing. So know that. Well, she says y'all are amazing, so I think that means I'm amazing too. She is going to endeavor to enjoy the lecture. Her mom is coming.
Yay!
And in the end, my advocacy was not successful. There are slides. The slides are needed because they are pictures of foolishment that need to be documented and analyzed. So, okay. All right, there are slides.
I want pictures of foolishment to analyze.
The adults have made the adult decisions. So,
Got to get us some pictures of foolishment to analyze.
you're right. No, actually, no, not right. Not right. I don't think that we want to do that.
No takebacks.
You
You
can
already said
you
yes.
cannot take it back. No, I did not say yes. I said I acknowledged what you said. I do not agree. What are we talking about, friend? We are
I
talking
already said no uno.
we are talking Okay, don't do that. Don't do that. You know it's holiday time. There are spades and Uno. Like, some family relationships might not make it into 2021 intact because of the outcome of an Uno game that happens that happens over the next few weeks. You know that.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I know, no, I gotta find that.
Somebody is getting a lump of coal because of how they showed up in an Uno game.
Uno gone wrong.
Right. Can you play Uno online? I think you can.
I'm about to research that. I mean, not right this minute, but I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna stay at work right now.
I really do want to know the answer
There's
to that.
nobody else in my house to play Uno with, but if there's a way to play online, I
We
can
should
get in.
we should do that.
Oh,
We should do that. We should have a virtual holiday party that includes the playing of Uno and the drinking of nog.
that is spiked.
That really feels like a completely different topic than what we're here to talk about today. So I'm gonna drag us back. I'm gonna drag us back to our topic today. So we are talking about organ donation, and this does not have to be a morbid topic. It does not have to be, it doesn't have to be as heavy as that. I'm not telling you how to feel. You feel how you feel, and that's perfectly valid. I guess what I'm speaking to is our approach. And so for us, and I do feel comfortable speaking for the entire for the entire firm on this one. For us, these decisions are ultimately acts of compassion for not only the not it's not only a compassionate approach to our own individual legacies, right? It's not only an act of compassion to those we leave behind who care about and for us, right? Leaving them with an explicit set of choices and instructions so that they don't have to wonder, what would Jill have wanted here? Are you really sure that Alicia said to do that? Because I'm not sure that that sounds like Alicia, right? It's not only those types of compassion, but with regard to this specific decision, it is also an act of compassion for lives yet to be lived, right? And so I would love to just sort of set the conversation in that context. I know, Alicia, that's not explicitly a part of our outline, but I it's for us it sort of goes without saying. So but for everybody else who doesn't necessarily know us, it seems like maybe that needs to be said. So when we walk away from this conversation, what do we want folks to know?
We want to know what it is, as far as what exactly are we talking about when we say organ donation? What, if it helps? Like, does it even help or matter? How? If I say, that seems like a good idea. Now, how do I do that?
Mm-hmm.
So you'll know how to do that. And also what your opportunities are around if you want to make any restrictions on
Mm-hmm.
yours.
Yep. All right. So, do you want to jump in now that we're like, I don't know, about a half an hour into the show? Do No, not. We're not. We're just like 15, 15 minutes. We're all good.
Which puts us right on time.
Exactly. Exactly. So when we say organ donation or when we say anatomical gifts, do we mean the same thing? What are we talking about in this conversation?
Yeah, so organ and sometimes we say organ and tissue donation because it's an important thing to know that when we are talking about these sort of gifts, it is not just organ like spleen or something like of that nature. And so these are things that can be either life-saving or life-enhancing gifts. And typically when organ donation comes up is that a person has been, in all likelihood, there's been some sort of traumatic injury where the person is at a state of being declared what is called brain dead, which means that brain function is not happening and is not likely to return. And so a family is having to make the decision on what to do there. And there will be a question about being able to give the gift because there may be this one acute injury that is impacting the person whose life it is, but there are many other parts, tissue, and organs that they have that are still quite viable that might be used to help save someone else or enhance someone else's life. And so when we talk about the anatomical gift organ and tissue donation, what that is you can actually make a selection for yourself to say, if I am in this sort of a situation, I would want to make this sort of gift and authorizing that if I have parts that could be used to help someone else, then go ahead and use those to help somebody else. So those could be things like full organs, like if you watch any sort of television, especially medical shows, you'll have seen things like heart or lung transplants. They can also be partial transplants of certain types of organs or certain tissues. There are also some aspects where you can have what's called a living donation, and for certain organ and tissue parts, you can actually make that gift during your lifetime. So you are fine And because you have two of things, like for instance, your kidneys, you can live a long and full life with just one. And so you can make a donation of a kidney during your lifetime or a portion of your liver as well.
Or bone marrow, or that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So when we are talking about, or when we're talking about anatomical gifts, we are talking about it's pretty literal. We're talking about your ability to make a gift of a part of your anatomy. Okay, whether it's the outside or the inside. All right. And when we talk about organs, we're talking about organs, right? When we talk about tissues, we are talking about things that are not organs, right? I mean, that's ultimately sort of, if you want to break it down that bluntly, then we can. So you can donate organs, you can donate cornea, you can donate tissues, you can donate stem cells, cord blood, bone marrow, blood, and platelets, right? I mean, there are plenty of us who have gone and given blood. And I think I just got a text message from the American Red Cross saying, hey, you've been here before. We know you. Why don't you come on back? We have a need. So blood donation, right, that you might go and do at your school or work blood drive is a type of anatomical gift. Okay, so there are also there's some conversation about hands and faces that I am not totally that I am not well informed about, but it is my understanding that there has been some success with transplants related to that. So without getting into the specifics that I don't know a whole lot about, just know that those are also possible donations as well, and the circumstances under which you can make the anatomical gifts are while you are yet living, right? If you are in I think as Alicia was describing, a situation where there's been a determination that there's no brain function and brain function is not likely to return, or if if you're dead, right? There are limitations on that, right? Because viability and that sort of stuff. But viability doesn't have anything to do with your ability to make the gift.
Yes.
You look really stern. Did I say something wrong?
No, I was listening.
Okay, you're like, yes.
That's my focus space. And I was waiting for the next thing, and then there was no next thing. It's like, what
All right. So now that you know what anatomical gifting is, and sort of what the subject of that can be. I don't know about you, but I when we were preparing for this, I found some of these areas of gifting to be more expansive than than I don't know than I ordinarily think about when we're talking about anatomical gifting. I mean, these are things that we know because we know them, but I wasn't thinking about blood donation as as anatomical gifting during life, right? I wasn't sort of connecting those ideas. So
Yeah, no, it's a good point. I think it's like all of the parts that are on the inside of me, if I can take it out and give it to somebody else, then it fits in that category.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I guess theoretically, I hadn't thought of it this way, but even sometimes people will grow out hair
hmm,
and make donations of hair. So technically, that would count too.
yeah, indeed. So
Yeah.
all right. So
So
what do we talk about next?
yeah, I think one thing that is something to think about, because sometimes we think, okay, I'm giving a gift, and I'm thinking, particularly since we're in the holiday season, and you will see different types of charity drives where people are soliciting toys and gifts and things. And you may want to know, well, where does it go? Like, if I am making this donation, like, how do you decide where it goes to? And so that might be a question that people have on this aspect as well of, if I make a donation of one of these anatomical gifts, where does it go and who decides where it goes? And that's one of those where it really does depend on what type of gift it is. So thinking about that expansiveness, for some of them, like, you may see it in real time. For instance, if you're doing the hair donation, or if you're doing blood donation at the American Red Cross, and you can kind of track that it's going to the Red Cross, and they're going to use it in a hospital or a blood bank setting that it's going to go to. When we start getting to some of the other types of donations that are, I won't say bigger, because I think they're all significant, but thinking about a donation of a heart or something of that nature, like, how does that get determined? And so the answer to that is, from the recipient side, when you have a person that has some sort of, it's usually coming with a diagnosis that they're in need of a transplant. And there is a unifying organization in the United States, it's called UNOS, that coordinates with these different regional centers to say, these are the people in need, and they try to break it down by region first, because of just the transport and what happens when the donation happens, of being able to get it to the person that's in need. And so they are coordinating those to make sure that they can prioritize that the people with the greatest need are the ones that come up first on the list. So I think you're on the mute.
We have discussed plenty of times my shoddy mute ment. At least for me, my default is to be on mute. You know, we've been on calls where people have thought they were on mute and they were not, and
It's not a good thing.
sometimes that's awkward. But for me, it's usually the other way around. I think that I am not on mute, and I am, in fact, on, and just talking too. This happens on the phone as well, so I'm consistent
It's true.
in my mute management on all of my devices. So.
There's something to be said for consistency.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that one of the important takeaways there is that it's not up to the person who is making the anatomical gift to have to figure out the logistics of how the gift is going to arrive at the the person or people that it will ultimately help. So that can be a bit of a load off. There is some infrastructure and well tested processes for how all of that gets done.
Yeah. It may also help to know too that they're not responsible for bearing the cost of that donation.
Yeah, yeah, true, true. So we've talked about some of the what can be donated, the kind of how does it work logistically, who's responsible for what. Does this actually help? Is it, I mean, does it really matter in the end?
I'm glad you asked.
It looks like you have an answer, so I'm glad I asked too.
So I'm going to borrow from my notes here, because I did actually look up statistics on this to find out the answer for it. And so I think it's startling to know that there are nearly 114,000 Americans currently waiting for an organ transplant. And because we're in California, nearly 22,000 of those people are in California. And often, when you get to the point where you are on the list for an organ transplant, that's the only remaining medical option that is available to you. They've done all of the drugs and therapies and all of the other things, and this is the only option that's left, is that we need a replacement part here. is essentially what's going on. One of the things that I found surprising in the statistics was that nearly a third of the deceased donors are over 50 and 10% of them are over 65. And I always thought that it was like that this skewed to much younger people. And in our work, we often have people say, like, it doesn't really matter. I'm too old. They won't want any of my parts, anyways. And as it turns out, that may not be true.
That's
So
so.
anybody can say, take a look. And if there is something I can do to help, let me help.
Yeah. Can I just punch in right here really quickly because I realized there was something that I did not say earlier when we were talking about what can be donated.
Yeah.
And that is you can donate your entire body. It doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be a parts donation, for lack of a better term, and it does not have to be a donation that goes to another person. A way to help, right? A way to serve with the gift is can also be for research, right? It can be for research, it can be for testing, it can be for for developments of cures and that sort of thing, which I think falls in the research category. It can also be for education. Medical students and so on need practice. So for for lack of a prettier image, that is also a way that gifting can be done, and you can designate the institution and and all of that. We can talk about the how in a bit, but I don't think that I said that. I think that I talked more about the parts donation. So I just wanted to make that clarifying point.
Yeah, no, it's an important point, and it's one that even we often talk about different topics that we're talking about here on this platform and making real world connections to that. And so that point that you just made is one that you hear in the news most recently around football players, NFL players, and CTE, the chronic traumatic encephalopathy that happens. And so there have been a number of stories in the last couple of years as that has come more to light for football players that have made donations of their brains for research so that they can really find out what is the impact of all of those hits that folks take in high contact sports like that.
Sorry, I had to turn the mute button off.
Good job. I mean, I'm applauding you. You did it before you started talking.
Oh
So,
goodness.
another place of like, can it help? So, I know those numbers I gave are just static kind of numbers,
Mm-hmm.
but something that I think to see that this is a thing that is constantly happening. And so, there is always a need that on average, 150 people are added to the donor waiting list every day, which
In
equates to one
California,
every 10 minutes in the US. So
that's still a
every 10
lot.
minutes, that's a lot.
Yeah.
And approximately 98 organ transplants take place every day in the US. But if you do the math and we're only doing 98 and we're adding 150 every day, there is
Mm-hmm.
always a need here. So
Yeah.
everybody can contribute. And one of the things about that, when you make that gift, it can help more than just one person from a
Mm-hmm.
single person's gift. So I believe one of the stats that I didn't write it down, I wish I had, but you can help sometimes up to 9 or 10 people
Mm-hmm.
with a single person's anatomical gift.
Yeah.
So does it matter? I think the conclusion is yes.
It's a big
Yes, it does.
yes. It's a big yes. Yeah. So we know what it is. We know that it matters. We know that we are at choice about whether we make anatomical gifts or not. How do we do it?
I'm glad you
Oh,
asked.
good. It looks like you have another answer. So I'm glad I asked too.
You must embrace my dorkiness. Thank you.
I wouldn't take you any other way. I wouldn't
It's one of the
recognize you any other
requirements.
way. Vice
Because,
versa.
yeah, it's not coming any other way, so you might as well embrace it. So, the way that you can do this is actually through one of the tools that we have already talked about that you hear us talk about a lot,
All the time.
because I think it's one of the most impactful tools as part of your suite of legacy and estate planning tools. And that is you can actually make that designation on your advanced healthcare directive. On the statutory form that we use in California, it's so important that they ask you about it a couple of different times in there and have a whole section of the form that is about that, where you can make the designation that you want to be an organ and tissue donor. You can also make notes there about if you have any restrictions for how you want your donation used. So, for instance, if you want it to be only for a living recipient versus for only for research, even, you can say that. If you only want to donate certain parts, you can even put that in that instruction. So, you can give all of the directives there in your advanced healthcare directive. And that's just one of the ways that you can do this. Another is in California, there is a tie-in with the Department of Motor Vehicles for making an anatomical gift designation. And so when you either apply for your license or when you renew your license, you can actually designate that you wish to be an organ and tissue donor there. And they will put a little pink dot on your driver's license indicating that you are a donor. That also puts you into a state database registry, which I'm pretty sure most states have their own registry. So that's going to be one of your homework items, just as a preview. Check for your state if there is a registry and if you would like to be a part of it. In California, they try to make it seamless for you so that if you put the pink donor dot on your license, you can be in the registry that way to show up as a registered organ and tissue donor. And the other thing that you can do is you can actually put it in your medical record. The quickest is to do it with your advanced healthcare directive, since that is going to travel with you no matter where you are being treated, but also making that notation in your medical records is going to be an important thing to do as well.
Mm-hmm. Got it. I think that an important thing to know here is that whatever your choice is about anatomical gifting or organ and tissue donation or body donation, um, that choice has to be respected, even if the folks who are sort of accomplishing it for you don't agree. But if you think, particularly if you think that people will disagree or there'll be some question about it, it is incredibly important that you write down your your wishes on this. Um, some people say, "Well, can I just put it in I'll just put it in my will," and that's fine. I mean, you can put it in your will, but as a practical matter, it doesn't. I don't think that that's ideal. Alicia, you might take a different view on this one, but I don't think it's ideal because, frankly, by the time folks get to the will, I mean, who knows what will have happened to, to your body by that point. I think in a document like your advanced healthcare directive really gives people the greatest opportunity to actually know what your choices are, whether you choose to be a donor or not, and to carry out those choices, right? Your advanced healthcare directive, if you don't know what we're talking about, go back to just scroll back through the videos and look for the one with the title Advanced Healthcare Directive, and we walk you all the way through it. One of the things that you'll know about the Advanced Healthcare Directive is that we told you to make sure that it's on file with your doctor, right? And so that set of instructions will already be with somebody who has some involvement in your care, and so you stand a really good chance of having the those decisions just right there in front of them, right? So I think that that's a really important thing. It's not wrong to put it in your will, or or somewhere like that. But I just don't think that as a practical matter, that's the most effective place. I would also say that it's probably obvious to you, but this is something you can change your mind about, right?
Mm-hmm.
What you decide today doesn't have to be always what you decide. Whether you choose to be a donor today and you decide later, you know what, that actually doesn't really gel with me so much anymore, or the opposite is true. You choose not to be a donor and later you decide that you want to. And you do not have to change your mind based on the status of your health. No matter what your health or medical condition is, you can be a donor. That doesn't guarantee that every single thing that you would be willing to donate would be usable in the way that you intended. That's a whole different set of decisions. But your ability to be a donor is not affected by those things. So that's what I would add. But Alicia, what do you think about where to put the anatomical gifting decision?
Yeah, I agree with your assessment that it's less than ideal to put it in a will. Like that's certainly one of those that if you want to note it in all the potential places that it might come up, sure, but don't rely on just putting it there because I think you're spot on with the by the time we're actually looking at the will, it is less likely that we will be able to execute on
Mm-hmm.
this. And thinking about what this gifting is, this gets to be an instruction that I'm letting my people know, help me carry this out. And so if I don't put it on the will, if I only put it in my will, I could be put in a position where the question was asked, and because they didn't have any indication, they said no. And then later, when looking at my will, that's the first time they're seeing that I had made this instruction that I wanted to be an organ and tissue donor. And at that point, that opportunity is no longer there.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so, to be compassionate to my people, I want to put it in all the places where it is most likely that they can action it so that they can know that they absolutely helped me accomplish everything that I wanted to accomplish, even when I couldn't do it for myself anymore, that they were able to stand in the gap and help me do that.
Yeah. 100%. Um, so yeah, so advanced healthcare directive for sure. If you have nominated a conservator of your person, and if you don't know what it is, go back, go back to, just scroll back through the videos and look for the title conservator nominations, or look for the word conservator, and it's Conservator. I was like, wait, how do you spell
Yes.
it? Um,
Jeo.
right. Um, but that's a good place to put it as well. What do you think about anatomical gifting um, in guardian in what do you think about parents communicating anatomical gifting decisions for minor children? That's a tough one.
Yeah.
That's
I
a
mean,
tougher one. The question just popped in my head, so I'm putting us both on the spot here. Just for anybody watching um, to know. Um, I mean, obviously, parents can make that choice if the parents themselves are, conscious to make the choice. I am less certain about the effectiveness of that of a parent making that choice in sort of as a post death kind of decision for the parent. Excuse me. So the parent essentially saying, if I have passed away, or if I have lost capacity, then I would like to have X, anatomical gift decision implemented for my minor child. Um, I am curious enough about the answer to that question to circle back to it. Um, yeah, this is
Yeah. No,
this
I
is one of
think
the
it's
impacts of a live stream. Sometimes things come up live that
right.
sometimes people have questions that we don't know the answer to right away, and sometimes the people are us. So there you go.
Yeah. No, I think it's an interesting question, and I think it's one of those, like you'll hear this well, maybe everybody does not hear this statement a lot, but because I'm a lawyer nerd, I hear the statement and say it, where technology and the law don't really track well with each other.
Hmm.
I think this is another
Especially in this
place
area.
where, yeah, this is one of those where I just wonder about it because I'm thinking about consent rules, and
Hmm.
that is consistently a place that what the law allows and what makes sense for people's bodily autonomy don't always gel well, particularly when we talk with about minor children, and once they reach a certain age where they can speak for themselves but are not allowed to speak for themselves necessarily. And so my gut reaction is,
Don't
I
guess.
mean,
Don't
the
guess.
law might say
Don't
that you
guess.
can do it. And like, I am concerned. So I don't have an answer, but I'm like, I feel squidgy behind the ears about that one.
Okay, I thought you were about to offer a guess, and I was like, don't do that.
No,
Like, don't
no,
do
no,
that.
no.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that question, but now I want to know it. So I want to know it on behalf of myself, and yeah, I want to be able to answer that for somebody who might ask us. So we'll find out the answer, and we'll report back here. Um,
Stay tuned.
All right. So the next thing that we wanted to talk a bit about before we close it out is restrictions. Like, we talked about being at choice about whether I'm a donor, or I want to make an anatomical gift, or I do not. Right? Why am I hold this chapstick? It's chapstick. I think, just put a pin in the sentence. I know I was in the middle of a sentence. I'm like that. So but if I do not acknowledge this squirrel, then I will just continue to be distracted by it. One of my law school professors had a theory that chapstick was addictive, and I think she was right. Because before I started using chapstick, whether it's the chapstick brand or, whatever you use, I didn't really think about chapstick. But the minute you start using the chapstick, you have to use the chapstick. So now I always have the chapstick nearby. It sits right here on my desk next to my coffee. And so now the world knows that, and they do not care anymore than they did before they knew that. They likely care a great deal less.
I think that one might be a like, there's no middle ground.
Yeah.
Either they care less or they're like, yes, that is the truth. And
Yeah.
they're like, I've been thinking the same thing myself. I'm glad somebody else said it. Now I know.
Or they're like, "Ma'am, why are
That's
you wasting?"
validation.
Or they're like, "Ma'am, why are you wasting my time with this foolishness?" So
Like, wait, how
it
did
could
we
also
get to
be that. Yeah,
chapstick?
yeah, and we're at chapstick. So we talked a bit about being at choice, right? And so what are the nuances of that choice? Is it a blunt instrument, like I'm either a donor or I am not a donor, or I want to make an anatomical gift or I don't? Not really. Not really. There's a great deal of flexibility that you have in exercising the choice about what you want your anatomical gifts to be. Um, you can state just about anything that you want. Now, in terms of if you state a priority, that priority as a practical matter may or may not be able to be accomplished, but um even so, you still have a great deal of flexibility about your gifting. So you can say, I only want, and people frequently do this, I only want my anatomical gifts to be used in service of a living recipient. I only want my anatomical gifts to be used to save somebody's life or to give them the chance to, right? It could be that. It could be I only want to make a gift of certain parts of my anatomy, right? I might want to only gift my organs, but not my tissue or my cornea or my skin or anything like that. It could be that. It could be that I'm okay with my gift being used for education, but I am not okay with it being used for research. Right? It could be that. It could be any number of those combinations and even more besides. And so for your homework, one of the bullets that I'm gonna ask is that you actually go back to your values, right? All of these are values based decisions, and just check in and say, what is important to me here? And let those values guide your decision making on this point. And then the second thing is to check your papers and make sure that what is reflected in your papers is still accurate for your choice, right? And third, I know this is a heavy homework day, but these are all very simple things. Look at your driver's license. If you hold a California driver's license and there's a pink dot on that driver's license, and the dot will have the word donor printed inside of it. If that pink dot is there, but you do not want to be an organ donor, fix it. Fix it. Okay. And if the converse is true, right, that you do intend to be a donor and there is no pink dot, fix it. Fix it. Okay. And the last thing that I will add for your homework, so the fourth item of homework, is to tell somebody what this choice is. Or at least to tell them, even if you don't tell them the choice, because that might be a privacy thing for you, and I totally get that and absolutely respect it. Tell them that you have made a choice. Okay, so that they know that this issue has been addressed, and at the appropriate time, they will have the information they need, and depending on who it is, be empowered to make that decision for you or to advocate for that decision for you if that's a responsibility that you've given to them. So those are the four things that I would drop in your homework, in addition to the homework item that Alicia already assigned you. Anything else to add, friend?
Yeah, I have a thing to add,
Awesome.
which is a little bit on the converse of this point,
Mm-hmm.
which is if you are opposed to being an organ and tissue donor,
Mm-hmm.
also communicate that. So, in those same sections of your Advanced Healthcare Directive where it asks you if you are opposed to it or want to decline that, you can state that affirmatively. I do not want to be an organ and tissue donor. And if it's important to you for your people to know your why on that decision, then go ahead and put that there. So if, for instance, if you have a religious objection to it, that it doesn't align with your religious values, and so you want to communicate that there in the form, you can use that form to do that
Mm-hmm.
and let your people know. If you have if you practice a particular religion and you are not sure if this is in alignment with your religious values, one of the resources that we can offer is if you go to the California Registry, which is Donate Life, they actually have an entire section there where it breaks it down by different religious practices that you can go and at least get started on the research and looking it up for yourself so that if you know you practice in a particular faith, that it'll at least give you a starting place
My
to
eyebrows have
look.
so many questions about that, but okay.
I saw that. Like,
Okay.
so, I mean, it's an important, if you have a question about it, just know that there are resources out there so you don't have to leave it unanswered.
Yeah. Yeah. That is so important. I'm really glad that you brought up the point, especially about making sure that if you do not want to be a donor, because I think that there can be some pressure, right, applied for people to be donors, and I mean this choice is yours purely, right? I mean, if you get to decide what happens to your house or your car or your tchotchkes or your collectibles, you certainly get to decide what happens to your ness. So, so yeah, if you choose not to be a donor, that is absolutely a valid choice, and that is one that like Alicia said, it really is important to communicate that and to yeah and to have that clear. And the why is not required, but if it is required for you, like she said, if that's important for you to communicate or to note, then definitely do that as well.
Yes.
All right.
That's all I got.
Yeah. No, I get it. So there are places for you to make arrangements ahead of time. I'm thinking about people who are, excuse me, I began in the middle of a thought. Folks who are interested in making any anatomical gifts for the purposes of research or education, it is possible to pre-designate what facilities or institutions your gifts will go to. It's also possible to reach out to those facilities or institutions. They have their own departments and that sort of thing for receiving those gifts, and they can tell you what their process is as well. I know I promised I would circle back to that, so I didn't want to forget to do it. But I think the larger point is that your ability to choose is even as specific as that, right?
Mhm.
Like, I want my gift to go to this, this teaching, this medical school, or this, research facility or whatever. And you can absolutely say where. Um, it is also possible to say, I want my gift to go to that person, but you can only do that when you're alive. I don't think that it's I don't think it's possible to if you've already passed away, or if there's already been a declaration of brain death, to say only give my gifts to Alicia and nobody else. I don't believe that that is possible. I think if it's going to be a person to person gift like that, then you need to be alive in order to accomplish that. And um, I just want to emphasize the word gift. It is not lawful under any law that I am aware of to be selling your organs. I don't think that that is lawful. It is not in the state of California. We can't. We don't.
You are correct.
We do not.
Yeah,
We do not
that
lawfully
is not
sell
lawful.
organs in the state of California. So yeah. So those are the only additional sort of, I won't call them miscellaneous points, but just things that came to mind that I know that we intended to address that I hadn't yet. So
Yeah, no, that's good. And there's no asking for your gift back. Because I have heard of a case where that happened
Shut
in a
up.
divorce situation where
Wait,
there was a
what?
kidney donation. Yeah.
No, do tell.
And
Okay, we're at time, but please tell this.
just the random pop culture facts. Yeah, there was
Right?
a story where um, husband and wife, one of them needed a kidney, spouse donated kidney, time elapses, and they end up deciding to break up.
Oh my
And
gosh.
that was a point that was
No.
raised in the divorce
No.
proceedings. Was like, I want my kidney back.
Oh, this is terrible. No,
You
goodness.
cannot do that. And so, what are we talking about next? Again, hard pivot because where do you go from
We're
there?
talking about how to scoop Jill up off the floor because she has fainted away in disbelief. Somebody said, we're divorcing, so give me my kidney back?
Yeah,
I feel like I need
apparently
to.
it was one of those scorched earth divorces.
You think? Are you sure? Are you sure about
War
that?
of the Roses.
What? After that, I feel like I need to go and like pet a puppy or something. Like I need to. What? Give me back. Return my kidney. All right. So you have your homework. You have your homework. There's no transition. We're just gonna move off of that, like Alicia said. You have your homework, and next week we will be back here as we are every week on Wednesday at 12:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you're on the East Coast, it's 3:30. Those are the only two time zones I know. So I know there are other ones in the middle, but I don't know what those are. So so, we'll be back here next week. I think next week we're talking about, we might be talking about memorial planning, but give us some latitude, okay? Um, if you have questions that we haven't addressed here, again, um, if you log off and a question pops up that maybe you meant to ask or you would have asked while we were live, if you had thought about it, just shoot it over to us. You can email us at dlg@dahlialawgroup.com. We are on Instagram and we do actually check the comments or questions there. We can't promise that we do it in real time, but we do check there, and that is at Dahlia Law Group. You can pop by our website and get on our calendar. Our all of our calendar ability is on our website, and you can choose a time to talk to us if that is what you'd like to do. Our website is www.dahlialawgroup.com, and Dahlia is spelled Dahlia in all of those places. Thanks, y'all. Thanks for spending your lunch hour with us. We hope that this information is useful to you. If it is, then share it with somebody else. If it is not, then share that with us so that we can course correct and get you some information that's useful, because that's our intention. Anything else for the good of the order, friend?
Thanks for being here. We appreciate you.
All right, we will see you next week. Thanks.